This is music. This is some music here, huh?
Just walked into a spa.
Yeah.
I want to meditate. I want to wear a robe. I want to go wear a robe.
Let's keep this going just as the backdrop and use that for the entire show. Like there's bombs going off in the background, but yet we're at a spa. I love this. As people are coming in, I'm picking up the pieces of my brain off the floor and trying to put it back into my skull. Kevin Durant, according to just about every newsbreaker, has requested a trade out of Brooklyn 3 years to the day that he got out of Golden State. So, Amin, Dan is with us. Do we have anyone else joining, Dan?
Mike Ryan is trying in an emergency. He's got like a police escort. He can't get to a microphone fast enough. What'd they end up playing, Kyrie and Durant? 44 games together? The entire 3 years? 43 games? I'm not even joking. Wasn't it some ridiculously small number?
Yes.
Oh my God. Isn't this wonderful? This is you couldn't script it any better. Right? You could not sit there with the best writers in Hollywood and say, hey, we want this thing with a super team, and they get together, and within 3 years, the whole thing is done kaput. What do you think about this, boss? I'm thinking one of your guys is just crazy. And then the other guy gets sick of the shenanigans and says, you know what, trade me, even though I have 4 years left on my deal. We'd all be like, that doesn't make sense. That never happens. Get a grip, Hollywood guy. Maybe watch some sports for a change. No, this is remarkable. And the fact that he would do it and he would name 2 destinations. And that's it. That's the list, as they love to say on Twitter. Oh, my God. 2 destinations, which, by the way, may not have anything to offer.
I mean, turn your microphone, fix your microphone a little bit.
It's way too hot. Fired up. He's blowing everyone's earbuds right now. You're good. You're good.
I'm sorry. How about that?
Well, you came in late. You came in chewing your dinner. Like you did.
This is my dinner. This is my dinner, Dan. I don't get fed around here. Oh,
wait. You're late because of a kid-sized Three Musketeers?
Yes. And a peanut butter cup. Peanut butter cup, which is not too far off from a cupcake.
That's kind of equal to what the Nets got in exchange for getting Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving at the end of the day.
Like, look, we have all show. Hold on, Tom. We have all show to talk about the Nets and their problems. We got a very special guest.
No, I mean, you weren't here. You got here late. It's just a visual joke. Just stop. Okay. Just stop. Right. Just don't talk anymore. Like,
hey, put that in the notes. You know, I don't know.
You just got here. You were chewing on something when you got here.
My dinner, a Three Musketeers.
It's 5 o'clock. It's a visual joke. He's here. My father's here to quietly eat popcorn. He's muted. It took us a half hour to get it all right on the Zoom with my mother's help. It was uproarious. And you blow the joke in 3 seconds.
Again, maybe the private chat would be better utilized for these sorts of inside.
Where's Kevin O'Connor? Where's Kevin?
Stop and just eat the popcorn slowly. You can start whenever you want, Dad, to eat the popcorn slowly.
Oh my God. Okay, so KD. All right, so KD has made a wish list of 2 teams, and I'm sitting here being like, who cares? What do the Nets owe Kevin Durant? Like, he just signed a 4-year maximum extension and just picked up and left. Why does Joe Tsai, the owner of the Brooklyn Nets, want to honor KD's trade list? And I'm sitting here being like, if you get a great deal from Sacramento, send him to Sacramento. If you get a great deal from Minnesota, send him to Minnesota. Like, why does Joe Tsai have to bend over backwards for KD? Because every owner in the league is terrified right now. One, if the Warriors get Kevin Durant, or if Miami gets Kevin Durant, that's a whole nother situation.
Or Phoenix gets Kevin Durant.
Phoenix gets Kevin Durant. We'll talk
But I mean,
about that in a second.
what about to Tom's point? What about what Tom is saying there? Because we haven't seen it where a guy requests a trade in in this time of players have the power and doesn't go exactly where he wants to. Like that, what Tom is saying doesn't happen.
Yeah, and it doesn't. And there's a reason. Tom is asking, why do we care? Or why does Josiah care? He cares because stars control this thing. We just saw Ben Simmons, who is a fraction of the player that Kevin Durant is, pull the same trick. 4 years left on my deal. These are the places I want to go. Make it happen. He ended up going exactly where he wanted to go. And the reality is, when you have a star player, the leverage they hold is they say, all right, send me to Sacramento. Guess what? I ain't going to report. Yep. And I'll tell them that. And so Sacramento's like, wait a second. Why am I going to give up all these assets for a guy who's not going to report? Oh, but he has 4 years left on his deal. Well, yeah, and look what's happened right here in Brooklyn. He's got 4 years left in his deal, and he wants out, and he's going to get out. So what's to say that's not going to happen to me at Sacramento, except I'm not going to make the same mistake you made, Brooklyn, in giving up all the picks I gave up to acquire James Harden in order to appease Kevin Durant, and then now left high and dry. So the reality is that's the leverage he has. The leverage he has is saying, well, I'm only going there or there. So you better make a deal with them because anywhere else, I'll let them know I'm not coming. And that artificially suppresses the market.
Let's get your guys' expertise. Phoenix has more to offer, right? Bam can't go in the trade. Bam, according to rule, I mean, it'd have to involve another team if it was going to involve Bam, correct?
Sure.
Dan, listen to this. Dan, listen to this.
By the way, it's Idris, by the way. It's not, I don't know this other name.
Idris.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you're in any position to correct Dan after you blew up the whole Poppy thing. So, Dan, yes, if DeAndre Ayton wants to go to Brooklyn, but here's the scenario in which everything going to Phoenix is scuttled. One team with cap space decides to sign him to an offer sheet because he's a restricted free agent. And Amin, tell Dan and the people out there what that would do if Sam Presti just wants to light the world on fire. Kevin Durant wants to go into Phoenix, and Sam Presti says, you know what, we're going to sign DeAndre Ayton to an offer sheet. What does that do for that deal?
It wouldn't be Sam Presti because the Thunder actually don't have cap space, not enough to do that. But
until a certain amount of time, yes.
Sure, but a more relevant person would be Sam Presti's ex-captain, Troy Weaver, who's now the general manager in Detroit, who we know Detroit has that interest in Ayton. They definitely have a need at center. So you say to yourself, well, Detroit doesn't have cap space. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. They're $10 million over the cap. Yes, but that's because Marvin Bagley has a $28 million cap hold. If you remove said cap hold, all of a sudden,
that's an amazing sentence. It's an amazing sentence.
Thank you. I'm a pro.
No, but just Marvin Bagley has a $28 million cap hold. That doesn't mean Marvin Bagley's got $20 million coming towards him. It just means for accounting purposes, the league says we're going to pencil him in at 28 until you sign him to a different deal. We know that Kemba Walker just had his buyout. We don't know how much he gave up on that, or at least I hadn't seen yet. So depending on what the Kemba Walker buyout figure is, you can conceivably clear enough cap space to go completely under the cap to sign DeAndre Ayton to an offer sheet. Now, what happens when you sign a player to an offer sheet, a restricted free agent, that offer sheet goes to his team, and they have two options. One, we'll match that, and then he stays. Two, we can't match that, and he's gone. You can't do sign and trades. You can't send him somewhere else. It's a wrap. Game What are the
over.
possibilities of that? Because I want to talk about who can get the most, right? Because Phoenix has got more to offer than Miami.
Well, that's the thing.
Miami can't.
Does it, Dan?
Dan.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So
if they don't have DeAndre Ayton in the deal, they don't have the best offer.
Right. Pretty much. Like,
okay, but you guys are saying that has to be a sabotage move that we haven't seen before. Somebody's got, first of all, Ayton's got to be able to sign this deal. He's got to agree to all of this. It's not just somebody makes a magical offer. There are other teams that can do this, that can participate in this. You think Ayton is incentivized or less likely to get this in another place and is incentivized to blow it up?
So yes, Dan. There's a lot going on. Let's slow down, take a deep breath, right? Number one, it's not just random team. I'm not just randomly throwing out Detroit and Indiana as teams with cap space. They could do it. I'm telling you, these are two teams that have interest in him, existing interest in him, and they have no incentive to deal with Phoenix in this regard. They don't have to do anything. They'll go out and sign him right now. Second of all, when has this happened? We saw it with Houston and New York with Jeremy Lin. The infamous offer sheet that the Knicks figured out the loophole was, if I never get served, you can never say you gave, the clock doesn't start until I get served. So they literally spent the week rejecting emails and phone calls from Houston, and they had to hunt them down at Summer League, and they were avoiding them like cat and mouse. So we've seen this before. But most importantly, Dan is like, why would he sabotage this? Tom, what's the relationship between the Phoenix Suns and DeAndre Ayton? Would you say it's a cordial one and it's just, oh, we're just a couple million off?
No, and this is the League of Petty. This is the League of Petty. Yeah. This is
this is why you don't let your owner walk up to a player and say, I don't think you're a max player. Even if it's true. You don't say that, because down the line, you get hurt. You get burnt on that. And this is what could happen. I'm not saying it's happened now, but it could happen, because DeAndre Ayton has no incentive to help Phoenix after he was insulted by the owner, after he was benched in Game 7 due to, quote, Monty Williams' words, an internal issue. He has no incentive to be like, it's a good place. Let me help him out. He has every incentive to get the first opportunity he has to get the full max, sign on the dotted line. Screw you guys.
When you guys say it's league petty, then I was a little bit surprised to see Phoenix as one of his two destinations, until I thought to myself, oh, wait, if he wants to go and play against Golden State, if he wants to be that close on a team that was already overwhelming last year and then just fell apart in the playoffs, why and how did Phoenix get on that list?
He has reportedly a really close relationship with Devin Booker and Chris Paul. Like, the fact that they are in the running suggests that he is close and has talked with some of those players. And that's not tampering. Like, you can talk to other players on other teams and say, hey, I'm not happy here in Brooklyn. Can we make this happen? Let's make it happen. He put Phoenix and Miami as his preferred destinations among those teams he wants to go to. And Phoenix, it's fascinating. Phoenix could be his destination to take down Golden State. But what if Golden State says, no, Phoenix, we're going to put in Andrew Wiggins, Kuminga, and James Wiseman, and all the picks you want. And Brooklyn say no to that. And that's the trump card. What the Golden State Warriors can offer, Dan, is better than what Phoenix can offer.
Well, what are the offers that are going to be out there? Because we haven't seen a lot of this. I know Kobe Bryant in Los Angeles made a mess on the radio about making a lot of noise, but where it actually happens that a star of this magnitude is demanding a trade, even in a league of histrionics and pettiness and empowerment, it's really rare that this guy become available in any form via trade because he's unhappy. So I would imagine, even though he's 33, even though he's had an injury that is substantive, I would imagine that you guys would expect giant hauls, that people will be rushing to the front of the line because never mind how great this guy is historically, this is a franchise changer, and you have about a dozen of those in the league. You have about a dozen guys that we could talk about all the other guys, but you got about a dozen that the moment you put them in your huddle, you are relevant, even if you're Sacramento and you haven't made the playoffs in 16 years.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely you say a dozen. I think that number is a little inflated. It might be less than that, but yeah, he is worth it. And Tom, I know Tom wants to bring up the age, the mileage, the injury history as concerns, but the reality is he's so good. He almost he's been healthy enough where you're like, I'm going to risk it. I'll give it a try. And that should, in theory, create a very robust market. The problem is, if we're to believe the reporting, he's giving you two names. And so I talked to Tom a little bit on the phone earlier. I said, the Miami Heat, for instance, don't have to have the greatest haul in the history of trades. They just got to be better than the other guy. And likewise for Phoenix, they don't have to have this incredible haul. It just has to be better than what Miami's offering, because Durant is artificially limiting the market. Now, he might have other teams that are added to that list as this thing continues, but at the moment, If you're Phoenix or if you're Miami, you have to feel good that despite a relative dearth of assets, hey, what are they going to do? They're going to just try and trade them to Vancouver or to the San Diego Conquistadors? No, they can't. They can't.
So when I look at the list of teams, Philadelphia is going to say Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, and our picks. Okay. Then you have the Golden State Warriors. Andrew Wiggins, all-star this year. He's eligible for an extension. You also have Kuminga, Wiseman, and all the picks. If you're Miami, you have Hero, Duncan Robinson, and cap filler to make that happen. If you're Phoenix, maybe DeAndre Ayton, but then you get Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. You're looking at these deals and being like, for Kevin Durant, though? Like, for Kevin Durant, those are the deals? And I'm sitting here and saying, what if Memphis puts in Jaren Jackson Jr. and says, say no to Ja Morant, Kevin Durant? Say no to Jaren Jackson Jr., go into Brooklyn, say no to Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson and Steven Adams and the rest of that crew. We're going to go take down the Golden State Warriors. What happens if that happens? Like Memphis is going to try to get in there. Minnesota is going to try to get in there. I just think that when you're Miami, you got to feel good about the names that I'm saying, because there isn't that young superstar. Like Devin Booker is not going to be in that deal.
Right. And that's the point, right? The point is you're not dealing with having to reconcile an offer for someone who's like a Brandon Ingram type player, right? This up and coming, just surefire. Wow, this guy is great. You're just fighting against the other guys who are pretty much in the same boat in terms of not having a whole hell of a lot, to show for. I'm pulling up Phoenix's draft pick inventory right now. And Phoenix, because of the Chris Paul deal, they're not exactly flush with picks. They owe, they just satisfied their last one. So all they have are their picks moving forward. So that's nice, but it's their picks and they're a pretty good team. Miami, on the other hand, does owe a pick due to the Myers-Leonard situation. That's a 2025 top 14 protected pick. And
the only way that they can send a trade out or a third pick out is if OKC removes those, if they remove the protections off that OKC pick, and OKC pick turns into unprotected. So the Miami Heat, man, that'd be tough. You get Kevin Durant.
But I'm just saying, like if we're talking about, hey, who's got the young players? I would say it's pretty comparable between the two teams, because Ayton is a question mark and because Bam is only through a third party, right? If you're talking about what's the next thing, well, picks. Give me picks. Well, Phoenix has all their picks, but they don't have any extra picks. Miami has almost all their picks, except for this one pick that has a little bit more red tape around it, but it's not undoable, right? Well, what else can you do? Can you take my bad deals? That's the last stop on that train. It's like, well, who has the wherewithal to take advantage of that, to take that? Well, which owner have we seen hem and haw? Which owner have we seen say, you know what? Why do we have a scouting department anyway? What's up with this draft thing, right? There's nothing like
Phoenix.
Phoenix. Yeah. Which owner was the only one to say, you know what? G League franchise, quite the opposite. We don't want one. Everyone else is either got one or getting into one. They're like, on second thought. So if you're telling me who's willing to take dead money and just happily shovel it in their mouth as they take Kevin Durant, I'm telling you, the guy that owns Carnival Cruise Lines has a more likely palate for that than the other guy.
Myers-Leonard being that controversy, being the possibility that could nuke the Kevin Durant deal.
Crazy.
It's fairly amazing. I wanted to ask you guys about something it is that you said there, because I don't know. As I look at this, you guys made fun of me when I come in and I say, well, doesn't Phoenix have more to offer? And if DeAndre Ayton does the Sinisters thing, maybe they don't. But when we did this last, when we got together and did this last, I asked you, when the Miami Heat were thinking about adding Goran Dragic, whether if they added Dragic, they would be the deepest team in the league. And your answer to me was no, Phoenix is the deepest team in the league. period. Phoenix is the team that's got the best young talent, young pieces. What's changed between now and then, other than the sinister plot you guys are suggesting of DeAndre Ayton and the Detroit Pistons screwing everything up?
Well, I mean, I think it's not a sinister plot at the very basic level. It's they ruined their relationship with one of their main players. That's the way it should be framed. In terms of what happened with Miami, guys who at the trade deadline were talents, like, oh, they're playing well. Now we've seen them perform for an entire season. More importantly, now we've seen them perform in the playoffs. So at the trade deadline, Dan, when you asked that, I wouldn't have like gone to bat for Gabe Vincent like that. I wouldn't have gone to bat for Caleb Martin like that. I wouldn't have gone to bat for Max Strus like that. But here we are. Now those three guys have shown, at least for the time being, on the salaries that they're at, oh, we're here, we're reliable, even in big moments. You can count on us. So that changes things. But at the end of the day, in terms of this possible trade, whether it's Phoenix or Miami, I'm not saying one has a vastly better path than the other. I'm just saying it's a lot closer than one might expect. On the one hand, you have a player in Idris Adebayo who isn't readily available directly to the team receiving him. So that means it takes some extra work. On the other hand, you have a player in DeAndre Ayton who is not cool with his team, his current team, and wants to go somewhere else. Now, is it to Brooklyn? Is it to maybe one of these other teams as the third party again? Maybe it's a 3-team deal again where Ayton goes somewhere and somewhere sends some stuff to Brooklyn and Brooklyn sends Durant to Phoenix. Either way, neither of these teams have the ideal straightforward path that Tom described with Golden State, for instance, where it's like, we'll give you Kuminga, we'll give you Jordan Poole, we'll give you Andrew Wiggins and picks.
Do you guys see that as a possibility? Like, do you see a return there in any way possible? Like, that seems, you just traded away Wiggins. And I mean, it'd be funny. It'd be amazing as a story, but like, they if they didn't need him before, they sure as hell don't need him now.
Man, have you heard Draymond Green the last, since winning the title? All he's been talking about is how good KD is. He's been gassing him up, buttering him up.
We wouldn't have beaten Cleveland without him, which is an absolute falsehood. Not a single soul in that organization believes that, right?
So if you're keeping your third eye open here, Draymond Green might have known that KD was going to become available and ask out of Brooklyn, and he wants KD on their team.
Hold on, Tom. Wait, Draymond would know that KD was available before everybody else knew? When has that ever happened?
The thing that I think gets missed here, because that was somebody who would know. I had drinks with him 4 or 5 days ago, and the conversation was about Durant and the Miami Heat obviously being interested in Durant, but at the time sort of waiting to see what was going to happen with Kyrie Irving and all of that insanity. And one of the things that they will not do is, having learned the lesson from 2010, they're not going to just let everything go and have it be Durant and another guy. And then next thing you know, it's Eric Dampier or Joel Anthony, or they're not going to totally strip it down. And if you guys are telling me it's not going to take a monster offer, if you guys are telling me all they have to do is be a little bit better than Phoenix, what's that offer look like?
For Miami, it's going to be Tyler Hero. It's going to be Duncan Robinson, 3 of their picks, future first rounders. And you have to just basically say, is that going to be enough? The Heat don't have much else in terms of young assets that you could look and say, that's a future all-star. That's Jordan Poole. That's Andrew Wiggins. They don't have that caliber of player.
Hero's the only one.
Hero's the only one.
Yeah.
And so you look at these offers, Jaren Jackson in Memphis, Tyrese Maxey. I'm not saying these are on the table. I'm saying these are what other teams, if they want to win a championship, here's the young player that they're going to put on the table for Kevin freaking Durant.
Well, Tom,
Jaren Jackson.
I'm gonna push back on you. Jaren Jackson, yes, he's better. To me, Tyrese Maxey's in the same boat as the Heroes, as the Pools, as the Mikal Bridges, good players. Maybe one day they'll be an all-star, but at the time being, it's definitely not in a Kevin Durant deal, not blowing me. This isn't Brandon Ingram, right? They're not Brandon Ingram. We're like, yeah, that dude's good. I'll take him back in an Anthony Davis deal. So to me, for Miami, Tyler Hero obviously is the center of this. Every single draft pick you can, you're allowed legally to give up, that's going to be in there as well. Then the interesting part becomes, will it be Kyle Lowry for the cap filler nature, or will it be Idris Adebayo going somewhere else, right? That gets you the haul that you end up sending to Brooklyn. Those are the options that Miami is working with. Dan, what's different between 2010 and now is I think Miami is a lot more comfortable in a way that it wasn't in 2010 of saying our ability to find players who aren't blue chippers or big name guys and coach them up. They trust it a lot more now. Back then, what they did is, you're right, Eric Dampier, Mike Bibby, Eddie House. It's all these old guys, right? It's all guys that remember them when we played against them. It's that thing. I think they've learned from that lesson. They're like, okay, there's still people to be found here and there, but the reality is we are better served finding young players who can fit around this and coaching them up. And I think that's the major difference.
Dan, I want to ask you, because the other nuclear option is this. If Ben Simmons and Bam Adebayo can't be on the Brooklyn Nets roster because of the designated rookie extension rule, which says you can't have more than one player acquired via trade.
You can staple Simmons to Durant, right? If you want out from under that already, because you've tired of all the weirdos. You've tired of Harden quickly. You've tired of your Kyrie, and you're like, you know what? We're going to start totally over. Ben, you can leave too.
Yeah. What if they say, okay, we'll send you Ben Simmons and Kevin Durant, but Bam Adebayo's got to be in the deal?
And this is the question I want to pose to you guys. Yes, let's talk about this for a second, because you guys raised a couple of interesting scenarios. Pat Riley is 77 years old. It's about win now, win right now. He's not going to leave anytime soon. He's in the job, but he wants to get better. Do you go from being a shot away to not only blowing it up dramatically with guys like, Ben Simmons is not the most trustworthy guy. Not only do you blow that up, but also you guys were talking about the 3 first-round picks. Good God, after Riley, are you leaving them in a bad spot if Durant tears an Achilles? If he gets hurt again, and all of a sudden you're going to be bad for a lot of years, going all in, to blow up your entire team when you were a shot away from advancing to the finals a second ago.
So I got a couple of updates here. Stephen A. Smith apparently went on ESPN and said Kevin Durant has had enough. He wants out. He wants to be in Phoenix. That's according to Stephen A. Smith. I also have an update from the chief culture chatter officer, Ryan Cortez, who wanted to be here, but he, like you, Dan, is stricken with that most vile of viruses, COVID-19. So thoughts and prayers to Ryan Cortez as he continues to recover. But I asked him when he told me, I said, Cortez, now, what if I told you KD's coming to Miami, but in order for that to happen, you have to have full-blown, full symptomatic COVID from now until opening night. No. It won't be lethal. It won't be lethal, and there are no long-lasting effects. You'll be fit as a whistle, healthy, full bill of health on opening night. But between now and then, you're positive every day. You can't go out, and you're going to feel every one of the symptoms.
That's 4 months from now. That's 4 months of your life that you are just sick as a dog.
I know. And he says, hell yes, dude. That was his answer.
The people who are here watching, wanting to know what it is that the Heat should do, the fact that you would take it to a hypothetical situation that involves Parakeet Cortez being sick with COVID for 4 months does not give them the information they crave from the experts that are presently speaking at microphones on behalf of Metal Arc Media.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's also a lot more fun than like, where could he land on? Well, come on, guys. Nobody knows.
Oh, really?
Nobody knew. Nobody knew 3 hours ago that he wanted to get traded.
But now you guys, wait a minute. You know what? Hold on a second with that. If I was talking 4 days ago with Heat people who knew, they knew it. This stuff doesn't happen in a day. I mean, you know this better than anybody. These guys,
anyone know.
With their agents and everything else like this. If I'm having a conversation 4 days ago about Durant because they're expecting him to become available, it's not because they don't know anything.
I'm saying to you, every single person talking into a microphone today, y'all all just found this thing out an hour and a half ago. I'm not talking about teams. I'm not talking about agents. I'm talking about the people who are paid to know now. Right now, we're all on air. We all know, he's going to. You found out an hour and a half ago. So there is a measure of also, what do we really know? Right?
Yeah.
What do we really know? I can tell you, like, the circumstances, like me and Tom just did. We went through like what assets each team has and what options the Nets have and all that. But at the end of the day, nobody knows because nobody knows other than Durant and his people and whoever's in the league.
Well, Stephen A. Smith is saying he's had enough and he wants to go to Phoenix. And you say nobody knows, but he's plenty connected. He's not.
But he didn't know that yesterday.
But
he didn't know that 3 hours ago.
That if Phoenix gives them the poo-poo platter and says, okay, well, Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, and that's it. That's all you're getting. We're not putting in anybody else, and that's it. That's our offer. And KD wants to come here, so you're going to have to comply with that. Brooklyn has to call their bluff and go and send them somewhere else. Miami, we know this about Pat Riley. He does not value draft picks. He doesn't. He said it on the record that he doesn't believe in the draft nearly as much as the other GMs. You know why? Because he can turn an undrafted player into Max Strus and Tyler Johnson and rehab James Johnson and Dion Waiters, Hassan Whiteside, and the Gabe Vincent. All these guys are basically lottery caliber players that they got out of nowhere. So if you're Pat Riley and saying, I could get Kevin Durant, or I could get basically keep my first round picks. Those picks to Pat Riley are currency to get Kevin Durant. And my question is, if you're the Miami Heat and you've built up this culture and you've built up Bam Adebayo into an all-NBA, all-star player, and the offer comes in and says, hey, you can get Ben Simmons and Kevin Durant, but Tyler Hero and your Bam Adebayo, they got to go into the deal. Does Pat Riley say yes? Does Pat Riley say yes to that deal? I think he does. Because you know what? If you look at the championship teams over the last century, they all have an MVP in their prime, an MVP caliber player in their prime. And the Miami Heat don't have that right now.
What if it's not Ben Simmons? What if the other thing you have to take is Kyrie Irving?
Mike Ryan, your thoughts?
Well, I think for Bam to be involved in the trade, it would have to be Ben Simmons. Otherwise, you get, I've been watching you guys, you have to get other teams involved. But I was about to say, the leverage that could really separate you from competition is, fine, we'll take the Kyrie problem off your hands. And I'm wondering when that is. And then I know what Stephen A. is saying, and I happen to think that he has a closer relationship with Durant than public perception may lead you to believe. The reports from Jake Fisher from Bleacher Report are the Nets are asking for Devin Booker. Yeah, like that's really going to happen. They're going to make exorbitant demands right now. You were asking if Pat Riley would do it for Bam Adebayo, if he had to part with Bam Adebayo. I think Pat is so cutthroat. He'd do it if he had to include Jimmy Butler. This is
Pat would do it if he had to include Nick Harrison and Mickey Harrison and
Christine Riley.
Let me explain something to you guys. There's not a scenario that you guys could present to me, including Kevin Durant being in jail for murder for 400 years, that doesn't involve Pat Riley getting Kevin Durant or wanting to get Kevin Durant. I mean, look, I like Bam. I like Tyler Hero. They found them, and they weren't lottery picks, and they built them into that. The whole point of getting them is to have the currency and the value of that. There is no time in the history of Pat Riley that he would not want Kevin Durant, no matter what it cost.
Tom, how much did Tyler really hurt his stock by being hurt in the postseason? Because you look at his career, you look at his numbers just this season, a season in which he won the NBA Sixth Man, and you look at the season he just had. He outshined a lot of what were perceived to be great prospects and really respected players within the NBA just this season alone. On the surface, if I just tell you the numbers, this is one of the more hot commodities in terms of trade assets that one could ask for. But nationally, it's not looked at that way.
Well, if he's the jewel of a trade package, I think it's still better than Mikal Bridges. I think it's still better than a couple other trade offers that are on the table. So like Tyler Hero, the problem with him is he's a one-way player that the Miami Heat knew was a one-way player, and they kept him coming from into the starting lineup. And that's the guy that you're going to build your franchise around in the year 2 in this next phase. I can't imagine that's going to be enough. I think Bam Adebayo has to be in the deal if the Brooklyn Nets are trading Kevin Durant. It's not going to be just Tyler Hero. If you look at Mikal Bridges, he didn't have a good postseason either. So that situation is looking like, ooh, if that's going to be the crown jewel of a trade package with Phoenix, that's not going to work either. DeAndre Ayton, same deal. He didn't have a great postseason. So if you're the Nets, you got to be like, man, are we really going to go out and trade Kevin Durant for Tyler Hero? That's it? Like, that's it?
Love it.
That's all that we're going to get. So
no, that's not you guys. This is not what's going to happen to Brooklyn. As disastrous as a scenario as it is, and it is a disaster scenario. A disaster scenario, I believe, incidentally, every one of the people watching on this, and us included, would have signed up for 3 years ago if we had been the Brooklyn Nets. Would have signed up, even though you guys certainly predicted that something messy would happen. All of us would want these players. Look, we're back here to talking about these players because years older, you still want these players. Mike, I want to know from you, if he blows it up to surround 32 and 33-year-old guys, if he blows up a team that was a shot away, if they trade future first-round picks and everything else to make sure that they can make a better offer than Phoenix, and they're giving up the defense that made them elite last year, because you're giving that up when the moment that you give up Bam, you sign up for all of that, yes?
100%. 100%. Look at all the preseason graphics that were made just off of name recognition alone. I think if you swap out Steve Nash, and Amin, I know you're a Steve Nash guy, but I think if you swap out Steve Nash and the Brooklyn Nets for the Miami Heat and Eric Spoelstra, that stability is what to me was clearly lacking from the Brooklyn Nets experiment. That and health, no doubt. Health was a bigger variable than stability. But I like my chances with the stability.
But Mike, you're ignoring something, is that they didn't want that. They both left structure and stability.
Yeah, and how did it work out? But how did it work out? Like we're talking about it as if it's one of the biggest failures ever. Kevin Durant just went directly to the owner of his team and caught a fat L. The Warriors won the title. He just went to his owner and asked out. That's him waving the white flag saying this plan did not work out.
By the way, I want to just point out something in the conversation that Tom and I had on the phone before we went live. Tom brought up the Warriors to me, and I said, man, I'm going to tell you right now, Steve Kerr has never been happier than he's been in the last 3 years. I don't think him or his staff or even some of the other guys on the team, some of the players, want to deal with that anymore. It's nice. They don't deal with the regular diva politics that the rest of the NBA does. And Tom looked at me. Well, he's on the phone, so he didn't look at me, but he just paused and he said, "Yeah, what about Joe Lacob, though?" And I said, "That's the problem. That's the problem."
Yes. Joe Lacob would 100% overrule that and say, "Steve Kerr, I don't care about your happiness. If Kevin Durant goes to Phoenix, we're screwed." And the actual billionaire talk, what matters in the billionaire circles is just power. And what bigger power move would be to win a win a title with KD, win a title without KD, and then get KD after that? There's no bigger power move. That's it.
That's a question.
The pinnacle. So yes, I think Joe Lacob would do that.
Tom and Amin, I have a question. We're looking at Phoenix and Miami because those are the teams that are named. It's quite possible that another team enters the fray, maybe not as a destination for Kevin Durant, but as a facilitator. Is there a deal before the deal that can be made that can make Miami's assets or Phoenix assets more attractive for Brooklyn because they're looking for a King's Hall?
So I would say that Indiana is a place where that could happen because of Brogdon and Turner. Two guys who are good vets, solid pros who could help teams win, but probably don't want to be in Indiana anymore. So I think Indiana is a place. I know there's an interest that they've had in Ayton. They almost traded for him at the trade deadline until Sacramento came with the Halliburton offer. So Indiana could be that way station for either one of those teams. Now, I don't know if Bam is someone that interests them because of his salary, obviously, and because of his age. He's a little older than Ayton, is what I mean by that. But I think Indiana absolutely is one. I think Detroit is another one. Tom, what do you think? What other teams can you think of?
Well, Memphis has assets galore. They have ready-made players that they can put into a deal. Desmond Bane, Mo Dakhil, who's been watching this show, just texted me and said, actually, if you take Jaren Jackson out of the deal, Memphis could actually get Kevin Durant or create a package around Desmond Bane and Steven Adams and all of their picks and get them. And get KD without putting Jaren Jackson in a deal.
New Orleans is another one where they have an abundance of picks in addition to some very interesting
from the Drew Holiday trade, right?
Mike, does the money work? Does the money work in Memphis? The money's complicated.
I heard earlier, go with Ja Morant and Steven Adams and chase a title. Steven Adams absolutely has to be a part of that deal because if you look at Memphis's roster right now, all their desirable assets, they don't make up the money, so they'd have to be creative in making up the money. If you're just looking at it in a vacuum, I think the most attractive trade partners for Brooklyn are Memphis and honestly Minnesota. I have Minnesota as a team that has a lot of assets that would be attractive and could actually make up this haul. And Golden State was a wise choice too. Depending on how you value Wiseman.
Does it matter that half the teams in the league? Woj is saying half the teams in the league are calling Brooklyn. Can you guys parse for me with 4 years on the contract and with us not having seen something quite like this with a player of this magnitude asking for a trade? You guys think what's going to end up happening here with Kevin Durant? How much control is he going to have with the 2-team limit that he's making versus a dozen teams are going to call and they might have better offers?
So I think the interesting thing is Joe Tsai could send Kevin Durant anywhere. Anywhere. But does he
You said that at the beginning. It's just we haven't seen that though.
Well,
hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt. I've got more breaking news here. This is courtesy of Kyle Goon, who covers the Los Angeles Lakers for the Southern California News Group. He says, Brian Windhorst on TV taking a deep breath, says on ESPN that league executives have, quote, floated that the Lakers could try to trade for KD and Kyrie as a package deal if the two are still interested in playing together. Are you guys ready to make this shit real messy? Huh? Real messy? Like a soccer player. Oh boy. What would you think? Would it be AD and what? What would be that package?
Horton Tucker? No, they probably wouldn't let go of him.
Yeah. AD, fine. Go ahead. But Malik Monk,
I
love trade Malik Monk with Anthony Davis. I don't know.
Would you trade LeBron?
We spent years, watching Kevin Durant and LeBron wrestle for the league. The idea that we now, really, they were wrestling. Who's going to be the best player? Is Kevin Durant always going to finish second place? I love the idea of the Lakers now with LeBron's management style in place. After Anthony Davis, we're going to have a hell of a hard time, any of us, coming up with what that trade package looks like of things that anybody would want.
Shout out to Jacoby Walker in the chat. LeBron and AD and Chris Mim. That's the package.
All right. So Kyrie and Kevin Durant are $81 million of salary. Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis are 85. That deal works as it's constructed. And Brooklyn says, we get Anthony Davis, a 29-year-old in his prime, two-way MVP candidate. Yes. We'll have Russell Westbrook. We'll waive him. It's 1 year of buyout capital. We get AD. There's no better option. All the names we just mentioned, they're not AD.
Hold on. Would you? What if that's the way station? What if that's the third option, right? If you're Miami, you say, look, I send you Bam. You send AD to Brooklyn. Brooklyn sends us KD. Everybody's happy.
I want to ask you guys this question seriously.
Idris, I'm sorry.
As Brooklyn deals with a scenario we haven't seen a whole lot of. Can you guys please tell me if Kyrie and Ben Simmons stapled to Durant is a sweetener or a liability? Like, what are we like? If I'm dead serious, if they're going to rebuild the whole thing and they're going to just start over and say, my God, get all of these people the hell out of here. This has been a nightmare. Kyrie Irving is what in these deals if you've got to start getting creative on him?
I don't take him. We just saw what happened in Brooklyn. Like outside of Miami, what organization can handle that?
Tom, we're not the ones to answer this question. This question's right there. Mike Ryan, what do you do?
I was marveling at Kyrie's resume. He has totally nuked the Cavs, the Celtics, and the Nets in very short order. It's amazing. These were good situations that he was in, and I can fix him. I can fix him.
Mike wants him. I mean, God Almighty! The idea you weren't afraid of the Nets at all. You weren't afraid in the last 3 years of the Nets, and now you want to be the Nets. You want to be the Nets.
I want to be the Nets with Spo because I trust Spo. I want to be the Nets with culture because I think that they were missing culture. I want to be the Nets with Udonis Haslem yelling at the Nets. That's who I want to be. It would be funny though if Ben Simmons comes here to Miami and they put his locker right next to Jimmy's.
I've got some small breaking news for you, Mike. The Heat don't want the culture set anymore. Shared vision is what they prefer. They don't like culture. They don't.
Whoa! Wait, that doesn't fit on a T-shirt though. Shared vision.
Hashtag shared vision.
Vision.
Do you guys love how, in retrospect, all of these guys, having gotten exactly what they want, look back in 3 years and really long for what they had? Kyrie with LeBron, clearly Kevin Durant is longing for something. Kevin Durant is about to give back whatever freedom he had. I mean, the Matt Sullivan book was pretty damning about, for those who don't know anything about what's happening like in that organization. It seemed, I mean, you object to it, but the reporting in that book would suggest that Kyrie and Kevin Durant were running that team. Kyrie, as recently as a couple of months ago, was saying, I'm going to check in with ownership and we're going to decide what it is that we
check in. He said, me, Sean, and Joe, we're going to figure it out. And
we're going to manage this franchise together. We're going to manage it together. And he also said he didn't want to coach, that he was a coach.
Isn't it weird? Where are we as a country? Isn't it so weird that people are willing to follow the purest form of demagoguery, right? Like just someone who literally is the living incarnation of the Joker, of Michael Caine's line, some men just want to watch the world burn. Like we're seeing this time and time again, legions of these followers, and they're supporting everything someone says. And I look at Kyrie and I say, why would anyone ever give him power of any sort?
So I want to talk about this. I want to talk about the trades that Brooklyn has done over the years. The greatest asset in the NBA right now is that Houston swapped 2023 picks with Brooklyn. Because here's what happens, right? 2012, the Brooklyn Nets are like, hey, we want to get Gerald Wallace. What is it going to take? First round pick. What does it turn into? Damian Lillard. Hey, we want KG. We want Paul Pierce. Take all of our picks. What do those picks turn into? Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum. Yep. And now we have a situation where the Houston Rockets own all of their picks going forward. They have a pick swap next year, their first round of the following year, and then pick swap after that, and then the first rounder after that, and another pick swap after that. So if you're the Brooklyn Nets in this scenario, when you get an offer, you have to keep that in mind, right, Amin? Like you have to keep in mind, hey, the Houston Rockets can swap our pick next year. God forbid we bottom out and it turns into Victor Wembanyama.
We got some breaking news here. This is courtesy of ESPN. Jaren Jackson Jr., the aforementioned Jaren Jackson Jr., maybe they can center a deal around him. Yeah, underwent surgery to repair a stress fracture in his right foot on Wednesday. Expected to be sidelined for 4 to 6 months. Sources tell ESPN.
Oh,
yeah. I like the next sentence there in that report. I like the next sentence. Jackson is expected to make a full recovery. You don't know that. You don't know that. You don't know that. What is that? I mean, what is?
It's exactly what it looks like. It's exactly what it looks like.
Okay, but it was unnecessary for you to pantomime ejaculate there. There was no reason for that.
Ejaculate.
Amin, how long do you think the Miami Heat and Phoenix Suns have known that this scenario was in play for them? We know that when it got reported by Shams. We know now that Kevin Durant went directly to the owner. How long ago was this? How much lead time has Pat had? Has he been able to work the phone for a couple of days trying to build assets? Because we keep looking at this so singularly focused. What do the Heat have? What do the Suns have? Let's talk about what partners and willing partners might be able to pair and supplement, because while the Heat may not have the assets right now, they could collect those assets by trading Bam somewhere else, by trading Tyler Hero somewhere else.
Yep. According to the sources close to Dan Le Batard, this conversations have been going on, at least the expectation of Durant's availability have been going on.
Mike, I texted you, right? I texted you, when was it? Saturday, and I told you they were in on Durant.
Yeah, the Kyrie thing kind of made people think that was back on ice for a little bit, and then we were talking Jalen Brunson for a little. But there is a deal for Miami to make outside of the mega Kevin Durant deal to help build their assets. The deal before the deal, essentially. Yeah, they can't trade Bam 1-for-1 for Kevin Durant. They can get creative, put Ben Simmons in the deal, or they can just trade Bam somewhere else, recoup the assets, and make it a 3-teamer, right?
They can. They absolutely can. It's just that's a lot of. As soon as you introduce another team, that makes things a whole lot more complicated. Because then there's going to be drawbacks and there's going to be hang-ups in the deal. They want to make this a 1-to-1 deal. They want to make this with Brooklyn, because at the end of the day, they probably said the same thing with Jimmy Butler in Philadelphia. I don't know. It's going to take more than Richardson. I don't know. It's going to take more than that.
Tom, I'm going to disagree. I think there is a third team because we know their best trade piece that has girthy enough salary to make this happen is Idris, and Idris can't go to Brooklyn unless Ben Simmons is on the way back. Okay, I take that back. Maybe you're right.
They cannot get guys. I want somebody to say it out loud. Mm-hmm. Somebody here is of the belief that the Miami Heat can get Kevin Durant and all they'd have to give up is Tyler Hero, that is the maximum the package is going to deliver. Like, I don't believe that the Miami Heat can get in this game unless they're willing to give up the two young pieces. I don't believe one of them does it.
I'm with you. I think Idris has to be part of that, because the only other option beyond Hero, if it's Hero and Idris or Hero and fill in the blank, the only other blank that can be filled is Mr. Shared Vision himself, Jimmy Butler, which I'm sure from one standpoint you say, well, that's better because I'm giving up the older guy who's got a really crazy contract down the line. But I'm not sure that Brooklyn would be, or whatever facilitating third party would want that. They look at it and say, well, I don't know,
If Durant is dictating terms, he's going to want to come here and have Bam be here. So I ask you guys, and there are other things to be talked about other than this one Durant move, because Brunson to the Knicks is official, right? That's done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about that on the show today. The idea that Mike and I were talking about 25 mil. Is it too much? Is it not? Whatever. And I said the problem is Jalen Brunson worth 25 mil. The problem is the Knicks consummated more moves in the last 24 hours, and it's clear they're going north of 25. And sure enough, they hit 110, which comes out to, what is that, 27 million a year, which is way past what Dallas's original prognostication was, but B, Dallas didn't even get a chance. Apparently, according to the reporting, I think Mark Stein was the one that had it out there. Dallas didn't even get a chance to say, what about? It's done. It's like, he's gone, he's leaving, and that's got to be a kick in the balls for them.
How quickly did Mark Cuban file tampering charges against the Knicks? How quickly? Like they threw, oh, we're going to get a meeting with Jalen Brunson. Nope, you're not going to get a meeting with Jalen Brunson. It's already been consummated. I mean, that is nothing different than what the Miami Heat did last year.
Well, I think the difference is Jalen Brunson.
Mark Cuban in the league is going to say, go to hell, Mark. Like, come on. Well, after the history we've had over the year.
Beyond that, I think it's because Jalen Brunson can say, well, I didn't meet with anybody. I just knew I didn't want to come back to Dallas. Yeah, he can plausibly say that. Now, if he files the charges, then the league opens an investigation. Then we're going to have the subpoena of the phones and go through all the records and all that stuff. But I think ultimately, I hope the Knicks weren't that sloppy. They'd know look, we're not going to trace anything. You're just going to find that the guy really didn't talk to anybody. And then, shortly thereafter agreed to terms with us.
It's so messy. Leon Rose's son is Jalen Brunson's agent.
Oh, well.
Jalen Brunson's dad is already on the Knicks payroll. Like, it is so, like, how the tampering charges would get so messy there of all the phones that would be confiscated.
This doesn't exactly put the Knicks in the game, does it?
No, it's you look at what they have is Julius Randle on a big deal and Jalen Brunson on a big deal. That's a great 500 team. That's a solid 500 team.
They've got a parade float going right now, and it has nothing to do with Jalen Brunson, and it's all about what's happening a couple miles east across the river. That's I'm the group chat right now. It is World War III in there. They're going insane. We have one message in here from Cousin Proopy who says Royce O'Neal is going to be the face of the Nets franchise moving forward. Like it's completely fallen apart. People
Joe Harris, baby. Joe Harris.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Steph Curry. Yeah.
Hey, here's the
Nick
list.
Claxton.
Here's a list of teams with more playoff wins over the last 3 years with Kevin Durant on the roster. Here it is. Ready? Milwaukee, Boston, Miami, Phoenix, Lakers, Clippers, Golden State, Dallas, Denver, Philadelphia, Atlanta, and Toronto all have more playoff wins than the Brooklyn Nets with Kevin Durant on the team. They have seven. They have 7 wins to show for it. 7 playoff wins. 2 sweeps.
They played 44 games together, whatever it was. Kyrie and Durant in 3 years. That's the number. That's lunacy. What is that? I cannot remember. I can't remember having something fall apart like that. I don't even know what I'd point to as precedent on something that had those kinds of expectations. I know. I mean, I've seen the cover of the magazines with, Glenn Rice and Karl Malone and Gary Payton, but to have it fall apart this way, like, it's just nuts.
This is going to be fun. Steve Nash, Dwight Howard. How about for something that fell apart quicker, the Big Ten ACC Pac-12 alliance?
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's
The
like a footnote
Pac-12
compared to what happened today with KD. Yes.
How fired up is a Pac-12 commissioner right now? The biggest upset in all of this is that the NFL didn't announce the Deshaun Watson punishment in the middle of this. The rare Friday news dump on a Thursday.
Mike's in the group chat talking about do it now. Do it now. Do it now. There's another unintended consequence of this whole Durant thing that we haven't talked about. In 2014, when LeBron was making his decision whether to leave Miami and go back to Cleveland, what ended up happening, that was the first year I ever did SportsCenter. And so I did my first hit on draft day, and then they asked me to come back to do free agency. And then I had to keep coming back to Bristol because LeBron wouldn't make a decision. And because LeBron wouldn't make a decision, nobody made a decision. Everybody was in a holding pattern. And then when LeBron finally announced he's going back to Cleveland, which I believe was on like July 10th or something, the floodgates opened and all the business around the league started percolating. The same thing is happening right now. I've heard of no less than 3 deals that were like, yeah, just as soon as the clock strikes 6, we're getting this deal done.
It's about to strike 6. It's about to strike 6. Are you ready? There should be like a historic countdown or something, right? We are right. We are right there. Free agency is about to open. We have given you
it's 6 o'clock.
There it is. Boom.
There it is.
This is an exciting time. Look at Mike Ryan. You look crazed. You look manic. You look methy. You look a bit methy. Bobby Portis. Where has Bobby Portis gone? We need to find out immediately.
We got a couple of deals before the deal. We got Devin Booker finalizing a 4-year supermax with the Suns. We got the 2-time reigning MVP finalizing his. So. Wow, $264 million for Jokic.
Biggest deal ever. Yep, Jokic.
How many computers does Shams have open right now? He tweeted.
Malik Monk to the Kings. Oh, screw you, LeBron. Screw you and all that.
Wait a minute. They needed him for any packages. They don't have any packages that have any value.
DeAndre Jordan to Denver. DeAndre Jordan to Denver.
I knew that. Isaiah Hartenstein. Hartenstein to the Knicks. Whoa.
Wow, I like that. How much is it?
He's supposed to go to Orlando. 2 years, $16.7 million. Oladipo, what, $11 million? What are you doing?
Back with the Heat. Victor Oladipo has returned to the Miami Heat for a 1 year. Oh, $11 million deal. That's Amin, take a deep breath.
Amin, let's get your thoughts here. Amin, you've been the worst national critic of Oladipo here. All the reports were that Oladipo was going elsewhere. Did he just become a trade piece?
Yes, he might have just re-signed with the Brooklyn Nets. I think the biggest, most impactful thing is the Woj report that Bradley Beal, who has never shown you anything other than he will collect as much money as possible, has re-upped with the Washington Wizards for the max. Yeah, they'll demand his trade in 2 years. And that'll be that.
Look at this. Nicholas Batum being reunited with his Clippers.
Yes.
I thought he retired on the Clippers 4 seasons ago.
Hey, PJ Tucker just left the door. He went back. He went to Philly, folks. 3 years, $33 million, fully guaranteed. Oh, boy.
That one hurts you, Mike. Oh, that is a punch. Look at Mike. Look at Mike's sour face, Mike. They did that same conversation I was having over the weekend. The Heat did think that they were going to be able to, in an offer to PJ Tucker, they were going to come about $1 million short after taxes and everything else, and that was being talked about as a movable piece in that could be traded for someone like Durant. So they were trying to put the pieces in place that included Tucker there.
I'm more devastated about the Oladipo thing. $11 million is a lot. It's 1 year.
For what? Oh, unless
it's filler.
Building blocks.
Yes.
I can move my building blocks.
That's tremendous analysis by you, Amin. I'm so proud to have you to have you in the event there are children watching, and in the event that parents are watching with their children, and you need to get your kids to love the transaction in sports. Amin has just that doesn't make any sense otherwise, does it? That's a contract to be traded, and I do think that you guys have to think of a third team when it involves the Miami Heat. They're going to have to be creative here. Am I wrong? You guys think I'm wrong on the idea that they could get Kevin Durant without giving up Bam somewhere?
All right, here's the deal. If you Victor Oladipo reunion with the Indiana Pacers, Miles Turner, and Malcolm Brogdon for Bam Adebayo, then you ship those 3 pieces up to Brooklyn and get that deal done. Oladipo, Bam Adebayo to the Indiana Pacers for Malcolm Brogdon and Miles Turner. You get around that whole designated rookie extension hang up, and you basically get Kevin Durant with Tyler Hero and that package. Portland Trail Blazers guard Anthony Simons, 4-year, $100 million contract extension.
Wow. $100 million. I'm reading some of these. You remember that old Chappelle Show sketch? Like, who the fuck is Renee Zellweger? That's what I'm feeling right now when I'm seeing some of these names and the money they're going for.
My name's
Who the
Leonard
fuck is
Washington.
Renee Zellweger?
You're one to talk though, as the guy who saw Tyler Johnson. I remember. I don't think Woj ever said a more shocking thing on our show than when he informed us. You guys realize that Tyler Johnson is going to get $50-60 million this offseason, because we hadn't realized that at that time how much the collective bargaining agreement had changed. And how many guys like that we're going to get. Oh, look at this. Bobby Portis is going back to the Bucks.
Oh, he did it again.
4 years, $49 million. Look how happy Tom is there. Right now, are Woj and Shams like going crazy? Who's winning the war between the getting of information right now?
Well, we know Woj is. Yeah, Shams in terms of volume has him beat. I think in terms of the biggest story that's been reported today, you're not going to top the Shams bomb, the Shams, the ShamWow of him, of the Durant move. But the Bradley Beal right now, we know Woj is in good with Bartlestein, so he had an exclusive domain over that, and that's probably the biggest deal that's been announced right now.
Do you guys think this is fun for them? This can't be fun.
Yes, it is. It's invigorating. Dan, this is what they live for. This is what their whole year is gearing up for. This day, draft day, trade deadline. 3 days. That's all they live for. Everything else is just filler in between. Just waiting to get to this day. I'm sure
remember when Adam Schefter said he hasn't stepped foot into a football stadium in years. This is what they live for. They don't go to the games. They don't care about the actual games.
I'm applying my prism. I mean, when I had to break news, I sobbed in the Miami Herald bathroom at midnight because I hated this so much.
Soft.
Like, I don't like waking up in the morning being real worried that someone else found out that Bobby Portis got a 4th year in Milwaukee. I don't want to care about that.
Noted beta male.
You know what's funny, Dan? That's funny. What's funny is that back then it was a lot more obvious. If you got beat by hours, right? You woke up and it's already broken. Now you could literally just tweet a minute after every other newsbreaker. Say, I had it. They just had it a little faster than me, right? You can't like blame me like, well, it was hours
I thought
ago.
about this on draft night though. Like, what are you doing? We're getting the draft picks out there seconds before they're announced on television. It's like, what are we doing?
There you go, James Harden.
Whoa. What does that mean? What does that mean?
Hold on. How about this? The salary cap has been set at 123.65, which is different because we thought it was going to be 122. It's higher. The luxury tax is higher. The good times are back. It's the roaring 20s in the NBA. We're spending money again, guys. Remember the pandemic? I don't. Just spend money. Oh my God, this is great.
I don't believe
$9 billion.
I don't believe in the middle of a free agency special minutes after the deadline that, we're back in the roaring 20s. I don't believe the salary cap going up by 1.5 million deserved. You said you started that with James Harden. And then you went, and it seemed like you were going to give us some exclusive James Harden information. Instead, you went back a century and gave us the roaring 20s.
It's a new century, Dano.
Witty in the chat is saying, I think he got faked. Wait a minute. Are you backtracking that you got duped by a fake account, Amin?
When did I say anything? I just said James Harden, and then I started talking about the salary.
Whoa,
You did.
James Harden.
That's what happened.
What did I say?
What did I
say? I said
I know that.
That is
100%.
100%. Zach, you're familiar with this fraud. Let's welcome in Zach Harper. You're familiar with this fraud. Please show us how counterfeit Amin is.
You can tell because Amin is now trying to distract into something else, right? That's when you know he's lying, is when, because if he's in the right, he will hammer that thing head on all day.
I am right.
He will come at you.
I'm right. The salary cap went up.
What James Harden? I have all the notifications that you have, but I don't see anything about James Harden. I see Daniel House to the Sixers.
What did you get fooled by? I mean, were you looking at porn again?
It's fine.
Yes, I was watching
James
porn.
Harden. That's what it was. It was.
He's hardening. Yes. Look at this. Look at this. Daniel House to the Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, this is exactly what we're talking about. It's Houston Sixers. They're just bringing it back. PJ Tucker, Daniel House. You know Mike D'Antoni's just sitting out there waiting just at the door in the arena. Just like, come on. It's insane. Daniel House, James Harden. You got the CEO from Houston all in Philly. Where's Isaiah Hartenstein? He already signed. Oh, no. We could have brought back Isaiah.
Yeah, could have got the
Knicks
band back
ruined
together,
everything. But no. Oh, man. Here's a stat. A_Jarnold tweets out, Steph Curry and Kelly Oubre Jr. have played more games together than Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Hold on. Tom, Chris Haynes, Mo Bamba reached an agreement with the Orlando Magic, 2 years, $21 million. His agent, Mark Bartelstein and Greer Love of Priority Sports tell Yahoo, does this mean that, like, somewhere Adrian is about to commit like Harry Carey, or like, how could he not?
Well, I mean, this is going to be the most fascinating thing for me right now in free agency. Did the Mo Bamba news make Isaiah Hartenstein potentially change course, or did Isaiah Hartenstein changing course make Mo Bamba now attractive again to the Orlando Magic?
I think
that's
the opposite.
Of free agency, right?
I think Isaiah Hartenstein shifted gears, and then as a result, the Orlando Magic said, well, we lost our big, which, by the way, I don't know what that means for the Knicks, because they already have Mitchell Robinson,
sure,
who's up for a new deal, I believe. They've got what's my man, Jericho Sims. So what does signing Isaiah Hartenstein mean for them, other than they're back to collecting too many of the same thing?
Mitchell Robinson is good. That's what it says.
That he's gone. Mitchell Robinson is a wrap. Yeah. He's out of here.
Here's how I know that
Mike Ryan is very busy right now, just looking for valets, and he's private. He's doing some private dick work on the internet here, and different from the kind that Amin did.
Yeah.
You guys keep just barfing up the same alerts that everybody else has. I'm out here in these streets looking for the real news breakers, the cupcake shop owners, the web designers that put Cavs colors on a website. This is where I win.
Yes, find the guy who made like Kuzma's outfit, that blousey outfit that he wore. I bet you that there are all sorts of people in the know here who are not at microphones right now on behalf of Metal Arc Media.
Here's how I know that the Kevin Durant trade demand was in the works for several days, because Woj's tweet had more than 8 words in it. You're telling me that when Kevin Durant opts for a trade, that Woj doesn't have that text already written in his drafts? Because if I just found out that that Kevin Durant is out and wants to trade, I'm just saying it in 3 words. KD is out. That's it.
Whoa.
If it just happened.
No.
Joe Ingles to the Bucks, according to Renee Ingles, his wife.
I need a second source.
Don't believe her. Don't believe her. Questionable source.
This Ezra Miller seems to have a lot of problems. We're never going to see that Flash movie.
No, some might say he was a flash in the pan.
They, them.
Most wouldn't.
Zach, do you have good Durant stuff for us? What have been your observations on the Durant stuff that you have found most interesting?
I think it's funny that all of a sudden we're trying to throw together packages of like, hey, they'd still be willing to play together between Kyrie and KD. Like that isn't trying to match $80 million in salary. Like maybe 3 teams can do it and no one can do it well. And this idea that the Nets would be happy about like, hey, we could bring Anthony Davis in as part of this and we'll bring Russ in because that worked out so well for the Lakers as we're trying to remain competitive because we don't have draft picks over the next 5 years. Like the Rockets get all of our draft picks. So let's try to be competitive with AD in street clothes all the time, Ben Simmons in street clothes all the time, and whatever the fuck Russ is doing out there. Like who knows what we could be, but they're going to try to be competitive. Like they're not going to try to throw KD to like the Kings, right? They're not going to do that. You still have to keep up some of these impressions of like, hey, if we sign a big name free agent and it doesn't work out, we'll send them where they want to go. You still have to play that game, but they're like, I just don't see how you can package $80 million of salary together.
I love that he just nuked all of that. I love it.
Ezra Miller allegedly choked somebody in Berlin just now.
Just now?
Just now? What are they like? You're live streaming?
Let's get into that.
How is Ezra Miller
getting on a plane?
How is Ezra Miller in Vermont, Hawaii, and in Berlin all at once?
He's like
he really is a they-them.
Yeah.
Is KD
the Flash?
You guys are just searching the internet right now. Is that all?
That's what all free agency and trade deadline lives essentially become.
You got to feel. Hey, by the way, Tyus Jones returns to the Grizzlies. That's a big one, huh? How about that? Wesley Matthews returns to the Bucks. A lot of returns so far, right? We haven't had a lot of changing of the laundry, so to speak.
To me, the most surprising deal, just because nobody really has good sources with the Miami Heat except for one of us here in the Zoom, obviously me. But
I didn't know Oladipo was coming back. I did not know.
Is that a panic move because they lost out on PJ? Is that the deal before the deal?
The deal before the deal. That should be a game show, right? Yeah, welcome back to the deal before the deal. I'm your host, Amin Elhassan, and behind door number 1, we've got a deal for Victor Oladipo. But is it the deal, or is it the deal before the deal? All right, let's ask our contestant, Mike Ryan. Mike, you're from Pembroke Pines, Florida. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be on here. I'm going to have to say at $11 million for one season, I'm going to say deal before the deal.
Survey says, ooh, it's the deal. Sorry.
No.
That was waiters. No.
What do you mean? What is happening there that everybody was reporting Victor Oladipo is leaving Miami and is going to test free agency, not leaving and then going to sign back in. And then next thing you know, after Kevin Durant makes his trade request, now you've got a specific number, 1 year, $11 million, and all of a sudden he's returning when no one had that.
Well, I think,
Guys.
I think with that, Dan, is he tested free agency, and then the Heat said, "We'll give you $11 million this year," and he's like, "Whoa, the test is over. You passed. Like, I'll just go with that."
Guys, I hate to interrupt this thrilling conversation, but Amir Coffey has agreed to a 3-year, $11 million deal with the Clippers.
That's a nice pick me up.
I think you guys need to start giving the credit to the people who are reporting this, not just because it's Woj both times and you're not reporting this exclusively, but because I'm also enjoying the way, just the greasiness of the transaction, where you get free agent Tyus Jones returning to the Memphis Grizzlies on a 2-year, $30 million deal. His agent, Kevin Bradbury of at Rep Basketball, tells ESPN. And then the other sourcing.
Dan, it's Rep One Basketball. It's not Rep Basketball. It's Rep One Basketball. You got to get it
my
right.
bad.
Dan.
Yeah,
Come
my
on.
bad. I'm sorry. That's different than the than what Chris Whittingham is saying is the saddest Woj tweet of the day. Go ahead, Zach.
I have breaking news here that the Lakers have acquired some championship experience by signing Damian Jones, the big man, formerly of the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Deal, sources tell ESPN, which I read.
Wow. They lose Malik Monk and then they go with Damian Jones. I thought you were going to go with Damian Lillard. I kind of feel like, Amin, is there another, like, if everyone starts loading up on stars, Kevin Durant, does Damian Lillard just say, you know what, I want out? Like, I can't beat the Phoenix Suns with Kevin Durant. I can't beat with the Golden State Warriors get Kevin Durant. I kind of feel like that's the next domino to fall, is that Damian Lillard just looks around and says, I mean, why am I doing? Everyone's switching teams. Enough of this loyalty stuff.
Tom, you think he just figured that out right now? He figured it out before last season even started. It's just that we're in this weird game of chicken between him and the Blazers, or who's going to be the first one to say this thing is over. Each one wants to preserve their, public relations kind of Q rating with the local community. So no one wants to be the one to actually say, yeah, this thing's over. This can't have happened to him. He's figured it out. It wasn't now. I mean, it was at the trade deadline when they did everything they could to make sure that they wouldn't be a play-in tournament team. It's par for the course.
I insist that you guys can take me behind the scenes on what happened here, what Chris Whittingham was calling the saddest Woj tweet of the day. Amir Coffey signing for 3 years, $11 million with the Clippers. And now it says his agents, Bill Duffy and Marlon Harrison of BDA Sports and WME Sports, tell ESPN. Now, first of all, Amir Coffey does not deserve to have two agents. He should not have two agents. But what's happening here in the sourcing? Why must both agents be mentioned in the sourcing?
Well, Dan, I'd like to take this one. It's important because both of them had to negotiate with the Clippers in a way that didn't violate the salary cappuccino.
Yeah, it's Amir Coffey.
Salary cappuccino.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I get it right. If I didn't get it then, if I didn't get it then, when he helped me with Amir Coffey, I was going through my head trying to come up with a GM named Billy Bean. Like I was trying to find,
I saw it in the chat that Zach goes, I got this, and I was like, go Zach, espresso yourself.
I almost went with. They didn't email the offer to him. They sent it via Pony Espresso.
Mike, what's going on? Mike's still at Ezra Miller live streaming crimes.com.
Shut up, you guys. I'm watching Stadium's live feed right now.
Yo, Lou Dort, $87.5 million.
Okay.
Now this no. That's
Lou Dort.
That can't be right. That can't be right.
Lou Dort, 87.5.
Way to go, young blood. Way to go.
Who has a more cartoon name, Lou Dort or Mo Bamba?
Lou Dort. Yeah, Dort.
Yeah.
So it's like it rhymes with dork.
Is
Wow.
that the
is
biggest
that
overpay for an undrafted player?
Is that 8.75 million or
You think the decimal,
87.5?
you think the
Was that a
decimal is in the
issue?
wrong point. A 5-year 8.7.
And that's American, right? That's
Lou Dort starting salary, according to my spreadsheet here, will be $15.1 million. In year 5, he'll make a shade under 20 for Lou Dort. Hey, if you need to stop James Harden, Lou Dort's your man. If you need to stop anyone else, good luck.
There was an incorrect report out there earlier that we have to clean up. TMZ's gotten down to the bottom of it. Austin Butler, star of Elvis, did not get into a physical altercation with Ezra Miller in a Tokyo pub. TMZ has learned.
Okay, that's good. I like TMZ now reporting things that did not happen.
Now I'm on chiropractor TikTok. It's not the Ezra Miller train, but I'm on chiropractor TikTok right now, and someone was cracking like a glow stick. I don't know if you're interested in that. I can send it to you. I actually saw this chiropractor earlier this week. It took me 4 months to get in.
Chris Boucher, guys, he's back. He's back in Toronto. 3 years, $35.25 million.
Let's change some laundry. I'm a little tired of these guys.
Yeah,
Lou Dort
everyone's coming
returning
back.
to
No,
his
I
team.
believe we have reached the end of this proceeding when we're getting into the Chris Boucher the live reports on where it is that Chris Boucher has signed. I believe for $35 million. That's what.
That's a good player. He's a stretch big. He can block shots.
No.
Nice.
I'm saying when we start with Kevin Durant and we end with Chris Boucher and Lou Dort, we've done. I don't believe we've done this correctly.
Normally, I'd agree with you, but Lou Dort at 87 million, I think
that's
the story.
That's a news item, Dan. I don't know what you're talking about.
Just the shock of that. Now it said because he opted out the other day, correct? He opted out, and then
well, here's the question: would you rather pay Lou Dort $87.5 million for 5 years, or would you rather pay Oladipo $11 million for one?
You guys are going to need to explain the
like
Oladipo
Lou Dort.
deal to
I'm
me.
sorry. He has a funny name, but if his name was I don't know, Jaren Jackson, we'd be like, okay, he's 23 years old. He defends. He averages 17 a game. Find me a wing defender. Yeah, on that team. Okay, fine. I'll give you that. I like
on the
Lou
team
Dort.
that was actively trying to lose, need to average 17 a game.
Did you guys know that the video of? Did you guys know that the video of Donald Trump reaching for the steering wheel came out while we were doing this?
No,
Really?
No
way.
No.
Oh, breaking news.
I mean, it's grainy. It's grainy.
Bro.
Is he trying to steer it towards Lou Dort's agent? Because
towards Sam Presti. What are you doing? Stop him before it's too late.
Wait,
Zach, I'd like for you to explain to me why it is that you have why you have Trump driving the presidential limousine over Lou Dort's agent. I'd like for you to take me through how you arrived at that joke.
I don't know that I'm allowed to say that on a live stream, Dan.
Zach, your guy, Traveling Queen, has agreed to it. Yeah, he agreed to a deal with the Sixers.
Yeah. We have a local reporter down here in Miami who is reputable, Greg Sylvander, and he is reporting that Miami has submitted an offer to Utah for Donovan Mitchell.
Okay.
Sure.
Davon Reed, 2-year deal to return to the Nuggets, guys.
I think I can explain the Oladipo thing. I think I can explain that for you. So one is just doing right by a player that they seem to like, right? And the other is after, what is it? Is it December 15th or is it January 15th, whatever that date is?
December
now
15th.
He is eligible to be traded, correct? You can move that. Now, I think there's some kind of no trade clause on a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
Right? And so you need some help there, but part of that help might be, hey, we gave you $11 million this year. Agree to a trade if at the deadline or before the deadline. They just wanted to
bring him home, Depot.
They actually signed him.
Yes.
Isn't there Isn't there a grace period where he can be included in a trade right now, and they can kind of treat it like a sign and trade? Those
They could, yes. But that's difficult. That's
the problem. Is
yeah, but he got his $11 million though, right?
here's a problem, Mike. Or not the problem, but the complication. Because Oladipo signing a
breaking
1
news.
year.
Sorry, breaking news. Shams is reporting free agent center Dwayne Dedmon has agreed to a 2-year, $9 million deal to return to the Miami Heat. Wait a minute, Dan.
Shared vision.
Dan, agents Mike Silverman and Brandon Greer of Steinberg Sports. Does Dwayne Dedmon deserve to have 2 agents?
No.
It's the same agency. Hold on. It's the same agency, though.
It's 2 agents. But
had 2
it's also a $9 million deal at the end of which Dedmon's not going to have any money left because just giving the percentages to agents.
2 agents.
I must admit, this is giving me vibes of the last time Miami swung and missed on Kevin Durant. A lot of names that people didn't expect back at Miami started happening real quick. Are these panic buys or are they the deal before the deal?
Back to our favorite show, The Deal Before the Deal. We'll welcome in our contestant, Zach Harper. Zach Harper hails from Sacramento, California.
Yeah.
Zach, tell us something about yourself.
Guys, I like tiny home shows. I like shows about tiny homes.
All right. Always great to talk about shows you like on other TV shows that you're on. All right. Let's look behind the door. We got Dwayne Dedmon, 2 years and $9 million. Zach, is that the deal or is it the deal before the deal?
Amin, I'm going to go with. Okay. I'm going to go with the deal.
All right. Survey says.
Yeah.
He's right. Ding, 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 ding. It is the deal. That's the deal.
Mike, I do think when I put together what you just said there, where you said the Heat trying to get in on Donovan Mitchell combined with Stephen A coming in off vacation and saying it's done to Phoenix, it did make me wonder that once you get to this point, right, once it gets to this kind of frenzy, it made me wonder whether or not the Durant thing to Phoenix is already done.
Hey, I just worked this takeout and I'm going to deliver it in a funny fashion, okay? Or I'm going to try my best. Well, if he's going to Phoenix, then perhaps he'll like, for a change of pace, an often injured point guard and a backcourt mate that dated Kendall Jenner.
Well done. Well done. I like it, Mike.
I like that. Okay. Tweet that.
Yeah, exactly. Mike,
Zach LaVine
worked out so well for him in the past. Am I right, guys?
Because of the Nets.
That's right.
Yeah, did you get that?
Yes, I am ashamed that at 53 years old, I know way too much about Kyler Jenner's NBA dating habits. Yeah, it doesn't make me feel good about anything really.
Mike, to answer your question about Oladipo
breaking news, guys.
from earlier. Never mind. Okay, go ahead.
He's been
Thaddeus Young.
by breaking news 3 times.
Thaddeus Young, 2 years, $16 million to return to Toronto.
According to who? Hold on. According to who?
Oh, I'm so sorry. According to, well, hold on. That's with the addition of performance incentives, his agents, Jim Tanner and Max Whipking.
Not a lot of people know this, but that's actually the same Thaddeus Young.
It is true. It is. I remember being surprised Thaddeus Young was still in the league like 4 years ago. Years ago.
Same guy.
It's Chris Haynes on that report.
Thaddeus Young,
yeah,
who was versatile. That same guy.
I want to ask you guys again, if anything bothers you about the oiliness of throwing these agent names that nobody cares about into these millions and millions of seats.
So my question would be, why didn't Devon Reed agreeing to a 2-year deal to return to the Denver Nuggets? That wasn't credited to any agents. Does Devon Reed not have an agent?
No,
here's the
agent
game.
didn't talk.
His agent didn't talk. Amin's right.
Yeah.
Like that is, hey, if you get that deal to me an hour before, your name is in there. That is just leverage.
But that's the dirty trade, right? When Wesley Matthews is agreeing to the 1-year deal to Milwaukee and there's no agent credited, that's the deal. You're telling me that these agents just want their name in the feed, and that's the exchange.
You know what I find funny is, so I'm obviously I've got my basketball list here and all the tweets. NBA on ESPN just tweeted the Bobby Portis news. but reiterating what Adrian tweeted earlier, but they've accompanied it with a Photoshop of Bobby Portis, a very happy look on his face, and like dollar bills all over falling around him.
Yeah,
and I said, that's what they spent their like 30 minutes on. Hold on, I got to get this Bobby Portis Photoshop right. That's it. That's what they did. Like not for Durant, not for Bradley Beal, not for Devin Booker or Jokic, for Bobby Portis.
Have to.
Are there levels? So like if you say the agent but not the agency, does that mean that reporter is upset that you didn't get it to him sooner, or that you didn't give him any other scoops? If it's just the agent and not the reporter agency too.
No, the agency is less important. The agent is important because it's my name. I'm the one. I got him that money. Me. Recognize me. You want money? You want to sign me as your agent? I got Amir Coffey $11 fucking million. What do you think? You think I'm bad at my job? No, you didn't even know what Amir Coffey was, and I got him $11 million. Imagine what I could do for you. If you say the agency, it's like, what am I going to do? Open the yellow pages and look it up like, yes. Hello. I imagine that you represented a player and you got him like, who is this? No. Look me up. Call me. Don't go through the secretary. You go directly through me.
I mean, I love your commitment to the bit. The fingers is the telephone, and
so
really,
long.
it really was like Daniel Day-Lewis, the way that you got into character there. Mike, what's going on with Donovan Mitchell?
Well, we know.
Why would you bring out the phone now? Wait, you had the phone before?
What we know about Donovan Mitchell is he's unhappy. He has been photographed this offseason with Jimmy Butler. We know that he also has been photographed with Bam Adebayo.
I love that. I love that. He's been photographed with is such a it's so shitty as a tether.
No, but Spider Mitchell was also wearing a hat that said like something to the effect of "Good times are coming." So he was sending a message. It was very clear. Come on. But
is Dwayne Wade an agent for the Miami Heat, hand delivering Donovan Mitchell?
Is he an agent for Devon Reed?
Yeah. Cocaine's. But Danny Ainge is running the Jazz. Is he going to make a deal with Pat Riley? That's hanging over this. And let's just fantasy book this. Donovan Mitchell, you'd agree, would be a hell of a haul for Brooklyn if KD had any interest in going to Utah. What if the big chip that they get back is Donovan Mitchell and Utah is a facilitating third team in a mega deal?
Donovan Mitchell goes to New York, but not the Knicks. He goes to the Nets.
Can Gobert go somewhere in this?
Yeah. Let's say Bam, Tyler, roster filler, and Gobert and Mitchell leave Utah. Durant comes to Miami. And that way you have Bam included in a trade that isn't going to Brooklyn because you needed a third team to help facilitate because of the obscure NBA laws. What if...
It couldn't have been clearer.
Yeah. What if Mitchell and Durant are a part of the biggest trade in NBA history?
Ooh.
What if I told you that the Rep 1 basketball feed, the Twitter feed for Rep 1 basketball has 547 followers, and 7 of them came after we just said that on the pod 10 minutes ago from Dan. 500.
Stephen A saying that it's done to Phoenix. When Stephen A is coming and saying that flatly, do you guys do anything with that? Like, he's not somebody who throws out absolutes like that that are not reported.
It would make the Donovan Mitchell stuff make a lot more sense too. That Miami would probably know pretty quickly whether or not they'd be in on that.
Right.
Hold on. When did he say that? He said that Durant wants to go to.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dan, he's saying like that the semantics matter here, right? Is that Stephen A. Smith is reporting that Kevin Durant wants to go to Phoenix, not that it's done.
Oh, no, I'm not. No, but him wanting to go to Phoenix is that he's not saying Phoenix and Miami. He's saying Kevin Durant wants to go to Phoenix. And I know, Tom, you're not buying on this. Okay. I know you're saying that Brooklyn still has some power, but to me, anytime we're ever doing this, if Kevin Durant wants X, that's what's going to happen. Like if it's not Kevin Durant wants X and then it's going to become something else.
Well, the problem is part of that same report about what Durant wants is Devin Booker is what the Nets want in return. That's the problem, right? Like that whole statement included Kevin Durant wanting to be in Phoenix, but also Brooklyn saying, all right, then come up off of Devin Booker.
Guys, I have a big update from Unverified Report Twitter. Okay. Now, this one does have some more bona fides than your average unverified account,
but not a cupcake shop. It's not the tiers of credibility here above Woj and Shams are cupcake shop owner.
Now, we're all familiar with Legion Hoops. It is an aggregator. We know this.
Yes, it is.
You've probably shared a tweet or saw it in your group chat. Ross, the creator and founder of Legion Hoops, who is unverified, has 71,000 followers, has said the Nets and Celtics have engaged in trade talks on a blockbuster deal that sends Kevin Durant to Boston per league source. No deal imminent. That comes from the unverified creator and founder of Legion Hoops, an aggregate site.
I love you saying it that way, which it's got an air of mysticism to it when you say it like that.
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious that Boston. I'm sorry, Zach, but it's pretty it's pretty obvious that Boston does have the pieces to make a deal happen. They're just not reported as a destination that Kevin Durant wants to go to. But they don't have to send Kevin Durant to one of these two locations. Boston, in terms of assets, in terms of ready to meal RMEs, ready to eat meals, they're ready to go. You just pop it in the microwave, and I said that very well.
Nailed it. No,
ready.
Dan, you went to journalism school, right?
I did. I just want to sink into the way the confidence leaked out of him because he had something. He was playing around a little bit with the microwavable meal. He was feeling good, and
I think he got it.
Yes, I went to journalism school.
Your thoughts?
So now, if Legion Hoops Ross isn't verified, but in the profile says featured on ESPN, Fox Sports, SI Now, and many more, rebranded back on 6/22. _Go Nets. That do anything for you?
What I love about all of this, and yes, I believe that to be a credible report because I'm guessing everyone's in on Kevin Durant. I believe that
in NBA 2K. Guess who else is in NBA 2K? Kevin Durant, me. I'm in there. Yeah, the Celtics. I don't know. You connect the dots.
This is what's so funny. When Woj reported that over half the teams have checked in on with the Brooklyn Nets for Kevin Durant, I'm like, why is it that number 100%?
Yes. What's wrong with the other half?
13 teams have already called the Brooklyn Nets for Kevin Durant. I'm like, that means that the other team should be fired. If Kevin Durant's available and you haven't called them, what do you
do? The Kings thing.
Randaviv absolutely submitted an offer. Vivek absolutely did. They don't have the self-awareness. That
you guys have. I want you to understand that the moment this came out from Shams, the moment that it happened, Sean Marks's phone started to melt because it wasn't just people calling him because they want Kevin Durant. It's a million different people who want to know what is going on with Kevin Durant. Like, I can't even imagine the inflood of annoying calls that the general manager of the Brooklyn Nets is going to be getting all evening.
I can't even imagine. Dan, back in 2016 when Kevin Durant left, I was working for CBS Sports, and we recorded a bunch of videos to be able to put at the top of an article so you could monetize it better, just in case of all these different scenarios, right? So we recorded one for him going to the Warriors, for him going to the Heat, for him going to the Celtics, for him going back to the Thunder, and then there was one more in there I can't remember. And somehow the Celtics one ended up on Yahoo. I don't know why, but so it looked like I was reporting that Kevin Durant has signed with the Boston Celtics. My phone melted in a way that I can't even describe.
By whom? Who's calling you?
Everybody. Every media outlet is like, wait, how do you know this? Is this true? We're trying to verify. Like, I had league people like text me like, is this right? Are you like, how are you getting this? And I was like, I don't know what's going on because I hadn't been on Yahoo that day.
let me ask you guys, as our goofy, like super excited basketball guys who really, really love this stuff. The Durant going blank. What are the exciting ones to you guys? Durant choosing blank and Kyrie Irving, secondarily, but Durant's decision. Which one is the most exciting one to you guys?
I kind of feel like Phoenix is a more exciting destination because of the proximity to the Warriors, because of the prospect of watching those two teams do battle, and because they are, they've been one of the best teams over the last 2 years. I think Miami had a good year this year. Last year, not so much. There's a lot of question marks there, and you get to a team that's very old as a result. I'm not as excited for that as I would be watching them in Phoenix.
I like your logic, Amin, but I'm going to substitute your proximity to the Warriors for an actual real rivalry with the Warriors. It's the Memphis Grizzlies. That would be the best story because they got the appropriate amount of poison. And now you throw the Kevin Durant variable into that cocktail. That is guaranteed to be your Christmas Day game.
What if, keep your third eye open, everybody. What if the Jaren Jackson news that he's out for the next 4 to 6 months is just a false flag and he's actually healthy, but they want to keep Jaren Jackson out of a deal for Kevin Durant. And then Desmond Bane is in there and a bunch of other assets, but they keep Jaren Jackson. And miraculously on opening night, my foot healed miraculously and they win the championship.
See, now I think the injury and the surgery are legit. I think Desmond Bane hit him in the shin when he found out this Kevin Durant news so that they couldn't trade Jaren Jackson Jr. I think that's what happened.
Okay. Yeah, because Memphis does have a lot of assets that they could put into a deal. And Joe Tsai would have to call KD's bluff there to go to Memphis. I'm going to say if we want to see the whole world melt, it would be the Warriors. The Warriors might not be the most interesting because they're just run the table on the rest of the league. But that would be the most just billions succession move ever is if Joe Lacob got KD.
What about the Clippers for Paul George? And now he can go take over LA with Kawhi and really kind of push LeBron and AD down again.
I was thinking with all the draft picks that Sam Presti has assembled, do you think they could get James Harden and Kevin Durant this summer?
No way. They're too busy going after Victor Wembanyama. Man, I keep messing up his name.
Wembanyama.
We're going to have to get good at that one. You guys have never seen
a nickname.
No, here's the alternate route you can take. Just say, I think Scoot Henderson's better.
Scoot?
I think that's the number one.
Oh, Scoot's got a better name.
Dan, Victor Wembanyama is a video game player.
What is that wingspan? Explain to me that wingspan. He's got arms that are legs. He's got like it feels like his arms are Sean Bradley's legs.
He's 7'9" wingspan. He's 7'3", 18 years old. He might not be done growing. He's got a 7'9" wingspan, the same as Rudy Gobert.
He makes Chet Holmgren look like Earl Boykins. That's how long he is.
Yeah.
What?
Like
so we've legitimately never seen a wingspan like that, correct? Like there's not another human being walking the earth with a wingspan like that.
I don't think they've actually measured it because it would take too long. I don't think they've done it.
They started to, and they just gave up. The tape measures ran out.
They're currently at 7'9". They're like, we're going to call it that for now, but we'll get back to it and finish this later.
So this was actually kind of interesting when the news broke today that Wembanyama is switching teams. He left Tony Parker's team. Yesterday, it was all about the whole basketball Illuminati take that the Spurs are trading DeJounte Murray to Atlanta because they're going all in on the tank, all in for Victor Wembanyama. And they have Tony Parker, one of their agents, on the road already, he's playing for his team. Wembanyama was playing for Tony Parker's team, owns that French franchise, and Tony Parker's brother is the head coach. And I was seeing all the dots. Seeing all the dots connect.
Connecting them.
And then today he left and he just got signed with another French team.
Mike has not spoken since since his confidence went into the ditch trying to make the microwavable meals joke work.
What if we made it a Lunchable, Mike? If it was a Lunchable, would that help you?
Should have won Lunchable. Ready to eat.
Yeah.
What's
We can
going on?
stack
What are you searching on the internet? What is it that you found over there? Have you found out? Are we out of free agent? Are we on free agent fumes now?
The question is not for Amin.
Bobby Portis tweeted this photo out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's
card
that. We got a lot of who says no. Did you know that the NHL draft is right around the corner? And Supreme Court becoming a religious political arm. I'm very surprised at this Dedmon deal. I thought he was gone. Panic or calm?
Tell you guys, according to my research, the only person in about 20 years of draft combine measurements who has a wingspan of 7'9" or longer is Mo Bamba at 7'10" and Taco Fall at 8'2 1/4. That's it.
Yeah, but
That's the list.
Do you need the quarter
Yes, you do.
yeah.
when you're at 8'2"?
What about the Rockets experience made Morey like, let's run it back, but now everybody's older and worse?
Well, I mean,
Wait.
and Embiid though.
To be fair,
Hold on.
hold on, to be
What we're
fair.
not going to do is rip on the Expendables franchise, guys, okay? We're not going to do that.
To be fair, if you're down more, you say, okay, what was our problem before? Kept losing to the Warriors.
With
Guess where we
Harden,
are
it's
now.
the expandables, Zach. I'm back.
Yeah, there it is.
I'm gambling again.
I'm gambling again.
From Jake Fisher, who was recently on Basketball Illuminati. Sounds like Danilo Gallinari will be deciding between Chicago and Boston for his next team. The Bulls have much of the full MLE to offer, roughly $8 million annual salary and a hair more. Danilo does have great hair. A hair more than the Celtics, but Boston appears to be Gallo's preferred landing spot.
The Rooster.
How does that help them?
I mean, it's a
They don't really need
beast.
them.
They don't. Danilo's also one of these guys that has proven that he'll just take the most money,
That's
just
true.
like
Yeah.
Bradley.
But that's not
Beal.
what Zach was asking. He was asking, how does that help them? And the way that it helps them is he can dribble, and he can also he can give you those 16 footers, those deadly turnaround
Love a
16
16-footer,
footers,
yeah.
right?
Little jab step, little fake move, and then
Yeah.
just boom.
What are you going to do? And he's just going to glow down the court as one of the few guys in the league with gel in
Yeah.
his hair.
Eat this 44%.
Yes.
That's what he does. Yeah.
And he's white. Yes.
Oh, well,
Yes,
there.
the Celtics.
Yes.
Hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. It is a very Irish town. Okay. I don't know that this is just a universal acceptance of Danilo Gallinari. It is a very Irish town.
I
can
love
you
the
back, like,
idea.
Grant
We did
Williams?
not answer that question at all. On a free agent show in which Danilo Gallinari ostensibly doing it to analyze where people go, Zach asked the
He's
legitimate
chips.
question
He's
of
chips.
how does he help them? And instead, it just becomes a series of jokes and the Irish history of Clash.
I did see that Grant Williams was on the Stadium Report. Like,
Yeah,
the
so did
stadium-
I. Been watching
you've
him
been
live. He really
still
fills
there?
out that suit. It's hard. You got to imagine. He's got an odd body type. You got to have a good tailor. So there's that going on.
It's got to be awkward when they just are going to sign a guy to take his spot on the
Guys?
team.
Breaking news.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Chris Haynes is
Good.
tweeting out
don't
that
have
restricted
Marlins.
free agent Marvin Bagley III, not the
Uh-huh.
first, not the second, it's the third one, has
Mhm.
reached an agreement with the Detroit Pistons. 3-year, $37 million deal.
Pistons are going to be a lot better. Yes, we can agree the Pistons are going to
Oh.
be a playoff team. Yes, no,
Indeed.
maybe?
Dan, I don't know if you were watching the show today, but I told Stugotz I'm all in on the Pistons right now. I'm buying low, selling high later. I think the Pistons are poised to make a run, play-in this year. I don't think playoffs yet, unless barring a major move. But play-in tournament for sure this year. Next year, playoffs.
Well, break down some of this for us because people do like your basketball information. All you guys, Atlanta, San Antonio, like these teams, what are they doing?
So Atlanta is putting the chips in and they're saying we need to be better. Obviously, the struggles of Trae Young against the Miami Heat in these playoffs highlighted their relative lack of playmaking. They went out and they got DeJounte Murray, who's an all-star on a really, really affordable contract, around $33 million total over the next 2 years. And most importantly, he does the things that Trae Young doesn't do, which is guard people, guard guys bigger than him. So he makes them better defensively, perimeter-wise, offensively, playmaking. Not a great shooter, but you're hoping that the other guys can make up for that. San Antonio is similarly putting all their chips in the middle of the table, saying, we're all in on the tank. They got a bunch of picks from Atlanta for this, including some very light protections, but also they are ensuring they're going to be garbage this next upcoming year when the aforementioned Victor Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson will be. What did I get it wrong?
No, you were close.
Okay.
You were real close.
Wobbly.
Wembanyama.
What do you guys think?
Wembanyama.
As I said, Wembanyama.
You said Waba, I think.
I wrote this on The Athletic. I love the DeJounte Murray acquisition. I think it's everything they need. I think he's great in the middle of the floor. He's a great defender. I think that he can make, ideally, Trae Young has to accept this, but now Trae Young can play off the ball because Murray is a good enough playmaker for everybody else. Like, he didn't have a lot to work with on that Spurs team, and he still got 8 assists a game last year. Like, he's a good enough playmaker. He's a good enough guy in the middle of the floor. He does all the things that Amin said in terms of defense, and they gave up nothing for him. And I still think they'll make a move, like whether it's Herter, whether it's Bogdanovich, like they're going to go try to get another defensive-minded player in there, and maybe they move John Collins or not. I don't think they love that idea, but I don't think they're willing to just give him away. So maybe he has a bounce-back year. They try to move him at the deadline or in the summer. But I love what Atlanta did. I'm not as bullish on the Pistons for next season. Everything they're doing is the right stuff. Troy Weaver is getting great value deals. He's got good depth now, but that's still a super young core with everybody. That's a super young core.
If you look at this, the Pistons since the All-Star break, right? Their record was a lot more respectable than what it was for the whole season. So I'm pulling up the exact numbers here for you guys. They were 10 and 14 with a net rating of -2. Not world beating, but certainly a lot better for a team that had 23 wins on the entire year. They had almost half their wins in the last third of the season as Cunningham got more comfortable as the team rearranged its identity around him. Now you add Jaden Ivey there. They're not good, but they're building. And all these teams that we saw that made this leap, whether it was Memphis a couple of years ago, whether it was Cleveland last year, there's always the start, the inception. Phoenix 2 years ago, the inception is never out of the blue. It always starts the year before. They start to figure some things out, and then they go in there, and then they take a leap. I think Detroit is poised to take a leap.
I think they're 2 years away. They're 2 years away from getting into that mix. The guys are just too young. They don't have a Jeremy Grant who can stop up to some of those minutes. And yes, Jeremy Grant isn't a world beater. He's not an all-star, but I still think that they're 2 years away.
Guys, breaking news.
Yes.
ESPN reporting a return to the Brooklyn Nets for Patty Mills on a 2-year deal.
That's surprising.
Is that a deal or a deal before the deal?
Wait. Let me hold on. Not to be outdone.
You can't hold on. You got to play deal before the deal. You got to it wins all the precedents.
No, there's another precedent because you guys have been giving credit to agents, multiple, 2 agents, 1 player, 2 agents, 1 player. How about this one? How about 1 player, 1 agent, 2 different people? Malik Monk is signing 2-year, $19 million deals. Join the Kings. We talked about this, but according to his brother and agent, Marcus Monk, same guy, 2 different roles. I submit to you that's a little bit higher than having 2 agents.
Does he work on a cut rate? Does the brother charge the same commission as your agent, or does he come in lower?
4%, baby. Yeah, 4%. This ain't cheap, man. He out here working the phones. He's out here fooling the Kings. You think that's easy? It's not easy.
I think it's easy. Yes, I do
It's
think
not.
it's easy.
Historically,
I believe
Yeah.
I believe I can fool the Kings. Yes, I can call the Kings and I can fool them. Yes, I believe I can call them right
we
now.
could have.
I'm not even
Cody
talking
in a
about their
Kings
front
uniform
office.
tomorrow.
I can look up.
Tomorrow.
I believe that I could look up on the internet Sacramento's general number, make a phone call, and pull a prank on the entire franchise. Yes, I do believe I can do that.
You deserve 4%. Yes.
Dan,
16 years without the playoffs in that sport.
Wait,
Do you know
I'm
how hard that
I'm
is to
sitting here
do?
and I'm waiting for it to play.
I'd like to ask Dan for some insight. Do you see a scenario in which Danny Ainge and Pat Riley do business together?
Zach says no, and Mike asked the question because Pat Riley did sort of on company letterhead tell Danny Ainge by sending out a team vice president to out loud say that Danny Ainge needs to shut the fuck up, which I don't believe has been done in press conference form before in sports. But I believe that yes, they would if they thought. I mean, they don't. It doesn't need to be Danny Ainge and Kevin McHale on the Kevin Garnett thing. If there's a way for through Dwayne Wade one last time to bring together old enemies while they don't like each other and they don't want to talk to each other, I believe that you can't get in the way of something like this. When man, Pat Riley's 77, like. When you talk about windows closing, like he's still doing this for what? You guys explain it to me. For what?
Guys,
What?
hold on. I got some breaking news here. Breaking news. So we know that Stephen A. Smith said Durant prefers Phoenix. We know that the Nets have demanded that Devin Booker be in return. Not to be outdone, Chad Johnson, a.k.a. Chad Ochocinco, said, just saw ESPN in the news on KD requesting a trade. One of his preferred destinations just happens to be Paradise. I've done my due diligence via text, just as I did with Jimmy Butler. Basketball emoji. Guys, Chad Ochocinco made the call.
The basketball emoji is where I was sold.
But he's not reporting anything. He's like
He isn't.
he's
He's
made
reporting-
he's telling you he's here and he wants to be heard.
He's a
And
mover and a
what,
shaker.
Put in the call. He put in the text.
what does that
He's done
mean
it.
though?
He's 1 for 1. He did it with Jimmy Butler. Look where we are.
Yeah, Dan, he's
Shot away
not
when
just
they
a
make fun of
mover
us.
and he's not just a shaker. He's a mover and a shaker. Like, that's a big deal.
You know what? That strikes me as redundant, first of all. I don't know what nuanced distinction we're making between moving and shaking, but if you're shaking, you're moving. If you're moving, you're not necessarily shaking. And
That's
I
why you have
don't
to be both.
I don't feel like you have to be both. I feel like one of these is enough.
I'm reading up on this.
Hold on. You think Kevin Durant gets to Miami by either Chad Ochocinco just moving or just shaking?
No, what I'm saying
Sorry,
is
Dan.
this is like
Welcome
the
to new
conversation.
media.
No,
That's
it's the
not how it
conversation
works.
from
No.
earlier this week. You never see Vig without. You never see the Vim without the vigor.
The vigor, yeah.
You never see someone who's just a mover unless
Vim
you know
Raines.
that person. You know,
The question I have is, does Ocho Cinco deserve a 4% for putting in the text?
Tim Raines.
The Rock?
I mean, you guys are just firing strays in the background. Continue, Tom, please.
Jay Sean Tate. 3 years, $22 million.
We've run out of material, man. Like that's
Wait,
the note. That's
Believe you
what
to
this
be
needs.
making that player up.
This,
Right,
no,
Dan,
How
this
many
is no.
agents does
This
Jay Sean
is
have?
Jay Sean has 2 agents, Dan. Agents EJ Kusnire and Jordan Cornish of
Oh, the
I-
hen.
Beyond
I-
AM.
I can't even tell you where the
Tate deserved
apostrophe
2
is in
agents.
Chase.
There's an apostrophe. You don't
But I
know
can't.
where.
That's our new.
No.
That's our new game show. Where is the apostrophe?
There's
Jay
the
Sean
boxing name,
Tate.
Jay Sean. Yeah.
But I don't believe that you can spell either the J or the Sean
I
correctly.
refuse to
either.
believe that this is a real player. No.
It is a real player,
Sean
and
knows, yeah.
Good defender.
I believe
Yeah.
It is the best punctuation we can possibly have, though, to this, where you come in with the enthusiasm of Kevin Durant and you peter out just giving the names of the multiple agents of Jayshawn Tate that include Zach calling Jordan Cornish the hen. I believe I believe that we should conclude our coverage right there. Jordan Cornish, he gave him the nickname. Yes,
like a Cornish game hen.
Thank you for explaining.
I know how you got there.
Where is the apostrophe?
So that's it. Okay,
I gotta go. Bye, guys.
I'm hungry.
it's just gonna be me. I'm still waiting to play the deal before the deal.
Oh, for who's that? The son? Patty Mills.
Patty Mills.
Yeah.
No, it's just too.
Tom,
sad
do you want to
now.
play?
No.
Okay.
No, the
I've
show's
been
over.
farting this whole time, by the way.
Oh,
I don't know what I ate.
people are
It's bad,
sticking
man.
around to hear about your